Stun bolt here. Level 3. Down.
One. There we go. There we go. Don't let me catch on a building. It's a GG.
Apex Legends Mobile is a high-octane movement shooter. That paired with the incredibly long time to kill means lag is your worst enemy. So in today's video, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to get rid of lag in the best possible settings for aim and movement in this game. So with that said, let's get into it. Light setup and advanced setup. You have two options right here. Go for the advanced setup always. This essentially is going to give you more customization, which is going to make you a better player. First off, we have auto firing. Turn that off because it's not going to allow you to evolve as a player, and also certain situations you might not want to go ahead and shoot, and if it automatically shoots, giving away your location, that's going to be pretty bad. Next up, we have one tap ADS and fire. Now, I'm a completely manual player, which means literally everything I do, I physically put that input in. So for some people, they may like this. Essentially what happens is you push the button, and what happens is it automatically ADSs and fires for you. I like to have my fire button under my own control, and so I have this set off. But if you're a three-finger player or just someone that's used to using that button for quick access to go ahead and beam someone, this is a really good button for you, and you might want to go ahead and have it on firewall ADS. Out of all these would be the best if you are someone that uses this button, but I like to have mine on and off for more control. Now, the bolt action sniper mode, I always have that on tap to fire because it makes it easier. Just like if I was going to play a game like COD Mobile quick scoping, by me having complete control over it, it's going to allow me to go ahead and choose how I take the engagement. Now, released fire is definitely pretty good, but it does limit me in some scenarios. But if you want to feel something that feels just like that with that pullback speed, you actually can go ahead and change your ADS mode to hold. So basically when you do this, when you hold down your ADS button, essentially it scopes in, but then when you release it, it lets up. I have it on mix because for certain situations or for certain weapons, I like to use different ones. Now we have the semi-auto shotgun mode, and just like with the bolt action sniper, I have it on tap to fire for more control. But the best one out of all these, if you are going to go ahead and use it and you don't like to play everything manually, I'd probably go ahead and say release to fire isn't bad. Now lastly, we have ADS button rotates camera, and this usually is better for players that have their scope button or ADS button kind of in the bottom and they click it with their thumb. So if you're playing three fingers or something like that, it's going to be way easier for you to go ahead and just hold the ADS button down. You can still go ahead and look around. Now, with all these little caveats and stuff I've mentioned, it does make it a lot easier if you do kind of play manually. And so the best thing to do is probably start yourself off with a 4-finger HUD and begin learning how to use it, because it's going to make you a much faster player overall. Now I'm going to go over to more options, and I'm just going to run through these. So aim assist, definitely have it on. When you're engaged with someone close range, they're going to have it on, and when they're moving crazily, they're gonna win if they have aim assist and you don't. Auto open doors, I have this off because if you have auto open doors on, it's gonna make it very hard for you to go ahead and play doorways. If you're running away from someone, you can go ahead, turn around and hold the door, and this is going to go ahead and allow you to escape, maybe pop a few shield cells while you're waiting. Now, auto open chest, I do actually leave that on because if you're running around, she's gonna make it so much easier for you to loot fast, and that's something that you don't necessarily want to go ahead and click. Especially if people are chasing you, it's just going to make it that much easier. Now, next up, we have tactical and ultimate ability use method. Have both of those on classic. Those are the best options. With the quick, you kind of do lose some control. Allow squad mate control offline. I have that on because if someone's AFK, it's just going to help to have them there, even to distract your enemy. Next up, we have gameplay. Now, I do have the joystick triggers auto run because you do have to run a lot in this game, and it does make it easy for you just to go ahead and push up your joystick and essentially go into an auto run. Crouching controls, I had this on hold, and this is a very specific for me because I play 6-finger plus. So with that means I'm always going to be able to have a finger on the slide button. However, if you play 4 fingers or less, it's probably better for you to have this on tap. I just like it because hold gives me a little bit more control in terms of how I'm sliding, and it allows me to go ahead and make certain maneuvers faster because it automatically lets my finger release, and so it's just going to allow me to move faster in certain scenarios. Now the slide jump control, I have that on classic. Use crouch button to rotate camera. I do have that off for me personally, but just like I said with the scope, if you are a 3 or 2 finger player and you have your slide buttons, or even if you're a 4 finger player, you have your slide or any of your action buttons in that thumb corner, it's going to be beneficial to have that on. Now to use the jump button to rotate the camera, same thing is going to be beneficial to have that on. Now for the climbing control mode and the climbing prompt, I have it on easy, and then for climbing prompt I have that off because you want as little amount of stuff on your screen as possible. Keep that in mind. I'm going to go ahead and talk about that a little bit later. But for zipline settings, these are the best zipline settings. For my riding the zipline mode, I have it on double tap, and that's because if I'm near a zipline and I'm also fighting, I don't want to accidentally get on it, so that's why I have it on double tap while I'm, moving around and jumping. So what this does require you to do is actually have the main zipline button be the little interact button that pops up, and we'll go ahead and talk about that more when I show you guys my HUD and stuff. But essentially, it's going to be better to have it on double tap if you're trying to move on ziplines as fast as possible by using the interact button. But if you want something a little bit more streamlined, single tap works, but it just does allow a little bit of room for error. Now if we go to items, smart health item recommendations, I do have that off because I know what I need, and it kind of gets in my way, that little prompt, and I can't really move it, so I don't like having that on. But you can go ahead and take a look here. These are all my settings for the items tab. Now these are my pickup settings. One, you're going to always want to go ahead and have auto pickup on. It's just going to make you a faster player. And then when you go ahead and scroll down to health items, you're going to want to have 4 syringes, 2 med kits, 8 shield cells, and shield batteries. Have that on as many as you want because these are very important. For your fitness kit and ultimate accelerant, you can have those at 1. As for the ammo, it should be set pretty well. And then for the ordnance, you're going to want to go ahead and turn that on. That way you can auto pick up grenades without having to worry about it. Now as for battlefield info, these are the best settings into your damage numbers, all that information. The best settings I recommend having is turning off your crosshair and your target information off. This is because you don't need hit markers. You know when you're getting a hit off on somebody by just looking at the damage it does, and hit markers kind of makes it a little bit harder to see your enemy, so I turn it off. Since we are playing on mobile, you're going to want to have as clear of a viewing space as possible, so that is why I have it off. Incoming damage feedback, 3D icon, and I have it on edge. And now since I play manually and I play with a fixed right fire button, I do have my control mode on the very most left one, and I also use control interface 1. The second one's actually pretty cool, but I don't like that the weapon swap makes it so hard to holster your weapon. You only get like a little small piece where you can go click it. Now as for my HUD overall, I do go ahead and play like an 8 to 10 finger HUD depending on certain situations, and essentially its goal is to have all of my movement and action buttons on the left and all of my aiming on the right, which just makes it a lot easier for me to track and for me to move. I jump with my pinky, I scope in with my ring finger, I slide with my index finger, and I move with my middle. I shoot with my thumb. Now for my right side, I use my index, as you guys can see, to go ahead and aim around, and then I have my thumb to click all these buttons in the corner, and then I go ahead and use my middle finger sometimes to click stuff at the top. Sometimes I use my pinky, and sometimes I use my ring, depending on certain situations. Now second to last, we have sensitivity. And I want you guys to go ahead and look at the vertical sensitivity scale. You can actually go ahead and mess with that to literally eliminate recoil, because if your vertical sensitivity is way higher, it just makes it that much easier just to pull down a little bit. And I'm gonna go ahead and get into that in my sensitivity video, but as for now, do keep in mind that if you want to go ahead and mess with your sensitivity. Now the next thing is speed acceleration. I literally live by it. I think it just makes it so much easier to go ahead and aim, and I think it opens up way more possibilities for you to go ahead and play with. Now these are my sensitivity settings, and I highly do not recommend copying them because everybody plays different and everyone has different size devices, so it will not equal the exact same thing for you specifically, but this is how it looks. Now for gyroscope, I don't use it, but I used to, so I will be making a gyroscope video soon. I said I would in the soft launch, but I knew they were gonna go ahead and change stuff, so I wanna make a proper video for global. Now for graphics and audio. I'm a content creator, and so right now I have everything on very high, so it looks the best it possibly can for you, but the best way you're gonna wanna go ahead and have almost 0 lag and have the best settings is to go ahead and put everything on smooth for your graphics quality, right? And then for your frame rate, leave it ultra if you can achieve that. Now for some people, you might want to have it a little bit higher quality, so what I'm gonna go ahead and tell you to do is go down, right, and change this. So literally just turn your dynamic shadows off, anti-aliasing off, refraction quality off, bloom of vegetation off, so you can essentially have HD but with more of smooth aspects. When you do choose smooth though, it kind of destroys that little advanced tab because everything's super smooth. But this allows you to have some of the quality of HD, but with less of the lag, and I think that's really cool. If you can, the best option, especially for this game, is to have your FOV as high as possible. For your graphic mode, the best one to have it on is Vivid because it's just gonna make things a lot more colorful, so it's gonna be easier to see and spot people. Realistic looks nice and looks a lot like the PC version, but Vivid is the best one. Now for visual assistance, I like to have the furthermost right one, the 𝓢𝓸𝓬𝓲𝓪𝓵 one on, because it just makes things a little bit more pleasing for certain situations. You don't have to mess with this, but just for me, I like to use it. But yeah, literally that's all the settings in Apex Legends Mobile. So hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, leave a like, and I'm gonna be coming at you guys with a whole bunch of videos for the global launch. I can't believe Apex Mobile is here. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.